What's up, guys? Back here with another video after a long time, and today's video is going to be on Dragonfly Energy again, DFLI, and yeah. So I'm gonna be honest, I'm very biased on DFLI, just because I have quite a large holding position in it. However, I think this is going to be stock for the future for immense growth and capital gains for everybody that gets on it early. And so my main points today are going to be low valuation at the current moment. Their market cap is sitting at 33 million. They do an annual revenue, not profit, but annual revenue of 50 million plus. So that just means that their market cap right now is suppressed. So in my opinion, they should at least be a 50 million market cap, since they do 50 million in revenue. But that's pretty vague, doesn't really correlate to the stock market. However, that's just my opinion. And then there's going to be some big catalysts coming up here in March 23rd when we get their revenues reports, and hopefully we find out more about what the deal is with Packard. Is Packard gonna start implementing their APUs in all of their new builds, and so on and so forth like that? Because if Packard does implement their APUs in their new builds, that is high demand for Dragonfly. They're going to have to be putting in major hours. Packard, if you don't know, is a trucking company that owns Peterbilt, Kenworth, and I want to say Western or International, one of those two. So they make hundreds of thousands, maybe not hundreds of thousands, but they make tens of thousands of semis every year. That is huge demand for Dragonfly if they do decide to implement those APUs in their new builds. That is just one bullish catalyst for Dragonfly to end up in the profit range. They won't be going negative per share anymore if that is the case. And that's just one product. My next very much bullish case on Dragonfly is that they should be getting ready to streamline their commercial scalability of their solid state lithium ion battery. Just by a quick Google search right now, that Dragonfly should be available for commercial sale by 2027. So that leaves them, roughly a year. It depends on when in 2027 that they do announce that commercial sales of their solid state battery is available. But leading up to whenever in 27 they do get to that point, right now is the time for them to be building the infrastructure and getting that process locked down. They need to build the infrastructure, get that process locked down of their solid state batteries, and hopefully that is happening. And if that is happening and they announce something along the lines that this certain date is when it will be commercially available, that is going to be a huge catalyst for Dragonfly Energy. Because if the specs are right on that battery, 2.5 times energy dense, and 5 to 8 times faster charging, and cheaper overall to make, since they don't have to use the acid anode anymore. Huge news. It's already is huge news just because they own the patent and it's been proven that it works. They just need to make it scalable. So for the future of Dragonfly, I'm very bullish. I believe this is going to be a 10-bagger or more, and it is going to be a huge, huge, life-changing event when all that news does come out. And I'm excited for that, and anybody that's watching this should be excited for that as well. And yeah, so right now I got the charts up for Dragonfly Energy. We're looking at the 1 year scale and 1 day time frame, so it's very condensed. And then my main focus today is on the CCI and RSI indicators. The RSI has been pretty steady for the last couple of months, hovering in the 40s range. However, we do see a slight uptick from the bottom here in February, from 35 all the way up to 43. So that's good news that we see that going up. And then if we look at the CCI report, or the CCI indicator, today we are just now breaking 100. We have not broke 100 in months, since October of last year. This is a huge deal and huge indicator that there is a lot of buying pressure for Dragonfly and not a lot of selling. And if we see this CCI scale keep on going up and up and up, like we saw in September and October, this thing is going to skyrocket like no tomorrow. And it's going to be fast moving. That's what happens on microcaps. They move fast and they drop fast. And unfortunately, I've been stuck in the drop. However, I am a long-term holder and bullish Dragonfly, so I'm not gonna, worry about that. But anybody that is worried about intraday trading or short-term trading, right now is a good time for you in this stock. I believe so. So yeah, and another point that I have for anybody that's watching and looking at this stock at the moment is, if we go to Dragonfly Energy institutional holdings, there has been great demand for institutional buying. This is all in the very last day, or reported, of December of last year. We have Aliska Investments. I am not sure who that is, but they bought 744,000 shares, or $2 million in shares. Big pressure there. They obviously have a long-term view of this. So if they would have bought in December, if they bought at their split, let's say in December, or the reverse stock split, if they bought at the bottom of that, that would have been $4 a share. So they're already in the negative. They're holding. They're not going to be selling this. But they have some type of knowledge, I believe, that there is going to be long-term prosperity and long-term growth for this company. We have Axis Investments, another 196,000 shares. A big name here, Vanguard Group, 160,000 shares. UBS, another big name, 150,000 shares. Jane Street, another big name, 86,000 shares. Geode Capital Management, not sure who that is, 63,000 shares. Legato Capital, 60,000 shares. C Investments, 34,000 shares. And then a big bank, Citigroup, bought 23,000 shares of this company. And so on and so forth. We can go back over here. You know, these are big holdings for getting their foot in the door of this company. And if they see it doing profit and scaling up in their production of goods, that just means more people, more institutions, and more people are going to get their eye on this stock. So this is one indicator that I am very bullish on this company. And yeah, so key takeaways of this video: March 23rd, earnings reports coming out. If they blow past their estimated negative 80 cents per share, great news. That's going to boost up volume, boost up the value of the stock drastically. And if that growth is there for the long term, that means forward PE is going to be going through the roof as well. They're going to price in that. It's going to be great. And then, we just need news on good earnings reports. We need some type of news that Packard is buying their APUs and implementing their APUs in new builds. And then we also need news that is that they're getting ready for commercial availability of their lithium solid state battery. One negative about this company, it was recently reported that they signed a deal with some capital firm. I forget the name of it, but they gave them ability to issue stock of $50 million whenever they see fit. So that's basically Dragonfly is raising $50 million at a time. However, I do not see them doing that anywhere in this value of where they're at. Because if they did that right now, they'd be issuing millions of shares. They don't have the ability to do that. They only have 12 million shares right now. So they need the stock to go up. They need the stock to go, $30 or more to start doing that. Because then that brings the share issuing down. Doesn't dilute it as much. But if they did that right now, that means that they would basically be doubling the shares out there right now, making the company very diluted, not very desirable to people, and just a lot of downwards pressure on the company. I don't see that happening within this valuation. However, be very worried that when the stock does skyrocket up to those, $20, $30, that is a very possibility of happening. If you're the bag holder up at the top, I'm sorry for you, but just know that in the long term, that this company is a great company to be in. Another thing on my mind, dealing with the lithium solid state battery, it's good news. The United States has a energy storage capacity goal of 750 to 900 gigawatts of energy storage. That's the goal. Right now, the United States has about, I think Google is saying like 120 to 150 gigawatts of energy storage. So that means we have to scale it by 5 times of what it's basically at right now. That is a lot of batteries that is gonna need to be made and bought. And then efficiency always wins the game. So where does that drive the market of people buying energy storage? To Dragonfly, because they have the best efficiency of batteries. 2.5 times density of energy, 5 times faster charging. That is great news for the power grid and the renewable energy goal that the United States has for the future. So the stock is not going to be, I want to say, get rich quick kind of stock, unless you're just trying to make like thousands of dollars. I'm not here for that. I'm here for the long-term gain and momentum of this stock. So that's why I'm here. I'm here for the long run. I'm going to be holding this stock well into the 2030s, and I cannot wait for the ride that is going to be, because right now it's a micro cap stock. You know, a lot of people are turned off by that. However, I see the long-term future for this stock, and if it goes bust, it goes bust. And you know, I took the L on, you know, what to me is a large sum of money right now. However, I'll make that money back doing my job. So right now, very bullish on Dragonfly and the potential future it has, and yeah, can't wait. So if you enjoyed this video, if you got some type of information that you didn't know about, please leave a like, comment on your opinion, and also subscribe. I hope to make more good news videos about Dragonfly in the future. So thank you and have a good day.